Friends, let's talk about mythology. So today the myth which I had chosen for you is about Babylonian mythology, the story of creation, the flood and Gilgamesh. Every According to Babylonian myth, everything originated with water, from the mixture of sweet water, Apsu, with the salt water, Tiamat. The gods arose. Apsu and Tiamat gave birth to Mumu, the tumult of the waves, and to Lakhmu and Lakamu, a pair of gigantic serpents. In turn, these serpents produce Anshar, the heavens, and Kishar, the earthly world. And from these two came the great gods Anu, Enlil, and Ah, as well as the other gods of the sky, earth, and the underworld. Many of these new gods were noisy, which upset Apsu and Tiamat, since they could not rest. These primordial goddesses then discussed whether they should inhalate their progeny. When the all-knowing and learned of all Apsu's plan to destroy the gods, he used his magic to culture her and Memu. Tiamat was furious and created a monstrous army of gods and freak creatures to punish Ah and his cohorts. Ah went to his father Anshar, and Anshar advised him to send Anu to fight Tiamat. Both Anu and Ah were afraid of goddesses and her army. Then Ah called Marduk forth. Marduk promised to conquer Tiamat if he were given supreme authority over the gods. The gods agreed that he was to have lordship and feasted in his honor. Marduk was invested with the scepter, the throne, and an invincible weapon, armed with bow and arrows, lightning, the winds, hurricane, and special net. Marduk rode forth to meet Tiamat in his chariot, which was a tempest. Drawn by 4 fearsome steeds, they clashed, and Marduk caught Tiamat in his net. When she opened her mouth to swallow him, Marduk let loose the hurricane which filled her jaws and belly, thereby stunning her. Then Marduk shot an arrow with her belly and killed her. Tiamat's army fled in confusion at her downfall, but Marduk caught them in his net, chained them, and cast them into the underworld. As he was cutting off Tiamat's body, Marduk conceived a plan. From half of her body he made the dome of the heaven, and with the other half he made the earth. He established the dwelling of gods, fixed the position of star, ordered the movements of the heavenly bodies, and set the length of the year. Then, to gladden the hearts of the gods, Marduk created man from the blood of Kingu, the general of Tiamat's army. Finally, he made rivers, vegetation, and animal, which completed the creation. In recognition of his triumphs, the gods bestowed all their titles and powers on Marduk, making him the gods of gods. Apparently, the gods were displeased with the human race, for they held a council in which it was agreed that mankind should be drowned. But Ah, the god of wisdom, wished to spare human beings. So Ah told one man, Uta Nepishtim, to build a ship for his family and all living creature. Uta Nepishtim worked diligently, and by the time the rain came, his ship was prepared. For 6 days and nights, a foul rain flooded everything on earth. and even the gods became fearful. By the seventh day, the winds and rain ceased. All but Uta-Nipishtim and his family had become mud. The ship came to rest upon the Mount Nisir, and Uta-Nipishtim sent forth birds to come out whether the water had subsided enough to disembark. When a raven failed to return to Uta-Nipishtim, left the ship and offered a sacrifice to the gods on the mountain peak. Only Enlil, gods of the tempest, was angered to see that humanity had been spared, but managed to placate Enlil with soft word, and token of his reconciliation, Enlil gave Utanipishtim and his wife the gift of immortality. Over the ancient Sumerian city of Uruk, there once ruled a wise and powerful but tyrannical king named Gilgamesh. He was 2/3 a god and 1/3 a mortal, famed for his exploit in war and for his prowess as an unbeatable wrestler. Gilgamesh was also lustful, and he would abduct any woman who took his fancy, whether she was single or married. The people of Uruk were greatly distressed at this, for no one could overcome Gilgamesh. So they prayed to the goddess Aruru to fashion a man who could overpower Gilgamesh in order that he would leave their woman in peace. Aruru then created the mighty Enkidu, a hairy man with legs like a bull. Enkidu roamed with wild beasts and enabled them to escape the traps of hunters. On hearing of Enkidu's strength, Gilgamesh sent a courtesan out to Enkidu's watering place to entice him. When she saw Enkidu, the courtesan disrobed, exposing her breast, and Enkidu went to lie with her. After this, his animal companion shunned him because Enkidu had lost all his natural innocence. Enkidu then had nothing to do but follow the courtesan's advice and return with Ur to Uruk. Back in his palace, Gilgamesh dreamed of struggling with a powerful man who could master him. When he told the dream to his mother, Ninsun, she said it meant that he and Enkidu would become close companions. And after an awesome wrestling match, Gilgamesh and Enkidu sat down together as a friend. Enkidu was invited to live in the palace and share the honor with Gilgamesh. One night, Enkidu had a nightmare in which he was snatched up by a strange, terrible creature with eagle claws who cast him into the underworld of death. When Gilgamesh heard of that dream, he offered a sacrifice to Shamash, the sun god, who advised him to go and fight Kumbhaba, the king of Sidar mountain. When they learned of his plan to go to Sidar mountain, Enkidu, Ninsun, and the people of Uruk tried to dissuade Gilgamesh, to no avail. Gilgamesh was determined to make the long, arduous journey and battle Kumbhaba. So Enkidu joined his friend and the two set forth. They traveled northwest, leaving their fertile land behind, crossing vast desert, reaching the Amanus mountain, and finally arriving at the resplendent Sidar mountain and the stockade of the monster Kumbhaba. Enkidu heart quilled with him, but Gilgamesh issued a challenge to Kumbhaba. No answer came, so they made a sacrifice to the gods and settled down for night. During the night, Gilgamesh had a dream of victory. In the morning, Kumbhaba charged them, and after a terrific fight, Gilgamesh was able to knock Kumbhaba to the ground, where Enkidu cut his head off. With the monster dead, Gilgamesh was able to cut down the sacred cedar for the temples of Uruk. The two heroes bathed, dressed, and made offering to the gods. Then Ashtar appeared to Gilgamesh and tried to seduce him, but he spurned her, saying that her lovers usually had dire fates. When Gilgamesh and Enkidu returned to Uruk with the cedar, Ishtar had her vengeance planned. With the help of Anu, she loosed the bull of heaven against Uruk. In the course of wrecking the city, the bull was caught and slaughtered by Gilgamesh and Enkidu. Then, an act of utter rashness, Enkidu threw the bull's hide in Ishtar's face, telling her he'd do the same to her if he could. The goddess Ishtar then laid a mortal curse upon the Enkidu, and after 12 days of sickness he died. Gilgamesh was inconsolable over the death of his friend, for he realized that he must die one day as well. Determined to find the secret of immortality, Gilgamesh went forth in search of Uta-Nepishtim, the man on whom Enlil had conferred life everlasting. He traveled west to the far-off mountain Mashu, which was guarded by a scorpion man. With a trembling heart, Gilgamesh approached the chief scorpion man, who permitted him passage into the mountain. After a long time in tunnel, he stepped out into the garden of goddess. The goddess advised Gilgamesh to return home, enjoy life, and accept death gracefully. But Gilgamesh was insistent on finding Uta-Nepishtim, so the goddess directed him to Uta-Nepishtim boat. The boatman warned of the turbulent waters of death that surrounded Uta-Nepishtim's dwelling. However, Gilgamesh would not put off, and with the boatman's help, he managed to cross the perilous water. At last, Gilgamesh arrived at the home of the immortal man. When Gilgamesh told Uta-Nepishtim of this quest for eternal life, Uta-Nepishtim laughed at his foolishness and told his own story of how he had won immortally. Then Uta-Nepishtim challenged Gilgamesh to stay awake, as he himself had done, for 6 days and 7 nights, but exhausted, Gilgamesh already fallen asleep. The wife of Uta-Nepishtim took pity on sleeping hero and persuaded her husband to reveal the secret of immortality. They awoke Gilgamesh and told him of prickly plant that lay at the bottom of the sea. Gilgamesh set off at once to find the plant, and when he came to the ocean, he tied boulder to his feet, plunged in. He sank into the bottom, found and plucked the prickly plant, untied the boulder, and swam to the surface. Gilgal went home with a high heart, but now he could confer everlasting life on himself and the people of Uruk. He crossed the water of the death, the garden of goddess. He went through the Mount Mashu and traveled eastward. Within a few days' journey of home, Gilgamesh laid the plant on the rock and dove into the small lake to bathe. And while he was swimming, a snake approached at the plant and ate it. Gilgamesh wept long and bitterly to think he had wasted his enormous effort to gain eternal life. The snake would live forever, but human being must die. Gilgamesh returned to Uruk with a broken heart. He knew that what a miserable existence the dead lived in the nether world, for Enkidu had revealed it to him. His only consolation was that the walls of Uruk would outlast him as a monument to Gilgamesh reign. So this is the story of the mythology of the Babylonian, about the story of the creation, the flood, and the Gilgamesh. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much.